So coming to our part, as you can see that core component installation is almost done. I do not want to send any diagnostic data, so I'm unchecking the box, click on next. And now we have City Studio here, so let me click on finish. So what we have done so far, we have installed the core components, right? And Citrix hypervisor we already have this one, that Gen Center, on which we are performing the entire operations. Now we have to create our first Citrix site. So let's wait for the Studio console to launch. What is the memory for this machine? Mayur, DSCP scope starts working or not? Mayur, if you are speaking, you are on mute.
Yes,
Hello?
it is working, sir.
Means
Working, sir.
means your DDC is getting the IP 10.50, right?
No, I'll check. Hold on, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
please check it. If not, restart your domain controller and delivery controller both, okay?
Okay.
Okay, guys. So whenever you will be working as a data center architect, or you have to design the data center, and when you will configure your delivery controller for first time, you will get three options, okay? But this is not for you guys right now. Why? Because this requirement will be there when you will be working as like L3 role or some architect role, right? But you must know how to create the site, okay? Why? Because in your current experience or the roles whatever you are facing right now, you have to manage the operations only, right? But this is something that we are learning, the data center, how to deploy the data center, okay? So now three options are there. First one is to set up a new site. Second one, it is for the physical machines, means if you have any physical machine in your infra and you have to deliver that physical machine directly to your end user over the cloud or over the storefront, so you can do that with the second option. And third one, it is for like to scale up your deployment, means if you are having any existing delivery controller in your infra and if you want to add another delivery controller for load balancing, so you can do that with the third option. So in our current infra, we do not have any existing one, so we will go with the first option to set up the new site. Click on this. Now it is asking for a site name. So site name, it could be anything. It could be your office name, location name, country name. If you are having multiple offices like over the globe or over the country, you can enter anything, but it should be identical, right? So in my case, I am based out of Indore, so I can mention site name like Indore, or you can type India HO, something like that for head office, or Delhi head office. You can type any, but it should be identical, okay? Simply click on next. So SQL Server we have installed on the local machine. So the location, it is saying the local host. If you are having separate SQL Server, in that case, you have to replace the local host by the IP address or the host name of that particular machine. And in Citrix, we are having three databases. First one is site database, second one is monitoring, and third one is logging. So whatever the site configuration we have done, whatever the options we have selected at the time of configuring the site, okay, all the logs will be stored here in this database. Monitoring log, it will monitor the hardware utilizations of your virtual machine or for your hypervisor, okay? If any machine is overutilizing the hardware resources or any kind of logs related to the monitoring or hardware utilization, all those logs will be there into the monitoring one. And what is the logging log? Basically, this log it is for Citrix administrator and end user both. Means if you are having a team of 5 or 10 Citrix administrators, right? And what will happen? Like whatever the engineer is performing, whatever the operation with your studio console, like if he is creating the virtual machine, if he is publishing the application, or whatever the modification he is doing into the data center, all these logs will be stored here into the logging part. Okay. Apart from that, for user related, when users logs in, when users logs off, which user is published to whatever the user, which virtual machine is or application is published to the user, all those logs will be here in the logging. Okay. So for interview perspective only, it is very, very important. In Citrix, we are having three types of database. First one is site database, second one is your monitoring, third one is your logging database. And another database is also there, which is very, very important. And this is for the PBS one, Citrix PBS. Okay, so that right now we are not into the PBS, we are into MCS only. So there is no PBS database we have created. Okay, so simply click on the next. So it will validate and it will create three database into a SQL server. So the license server we have installed on the same machine. So that is the reason why it is showing the local host. But if you are planning to deploy the license server on another machine, you can. In that case, you have to replace the local host by the with the IP address or the host name of that particular separate license server. And by default, from Citrix, you will get the trial license for 30 days, and which is more than enough for learning perspective. But if you have to increase the license, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can click on use existing license, click on allocate and download, and you have to enter the license code which you will get from the Citrix team. Okay. So once you enter license code, you can click on allocate license. So if you are having 100 license or 200 licenses, okay, all those will be listed here. So in our case, we are good with the 30 days trial. So that is fine. Click on next. So now, basically, in Citrix, as I told you, the core components are storefront, studio, director, license server, and delivery controller. Okay. These are the core components in Citrix. Okay. Active Directory server and SQL server. These are from Microsoft. Okay. And in hypervisor, it is not a core component for the Citrix. Why? Because we are having three options in hypervisor. We can use Hyper-V, VMware vSphere client, and Citrix hypervisor, right? So we have configured a delivery controller along with the Studio Director on the same machine, right? And now it is asking to the to connect the hypervisor to the delivery controller on which we will host all of our virtual machines, right? So now we have to enter the hypervisor address. So if I click on the drop down menu, you will see we are having three options here: Citrix hypervisor, Microsoft hypervisor, which is earlier it was known as Hyper-V. Now they guys renamed this to System Center Virtual Machine Manager. And third one is your VMware vSpec client. Okay. So right now we are with Citrix hypervisor. So you can click on this. Now it is asking for the hypervisor IP address. Okay. So this is my Gen server. This is my hypervisor. And if you check the IP address is 10.101. So I will connect my hypervisor here. So you can type the address like http colon double slash 192.168.10.101. The default username for any hypervisor will be root. Why? Because these are the Linux machine, and enter the password. And in connection name, you can type anything, but it should be identical. So this is my first hypervisor. So what I can type like Citrix HYP, it is for hypervisor, and this is my first hypervisor, so I can mention 01. Like in production, you will find more than 10 or 15 hypervisors for sure. Okay. And the services that we are using, machine creation services right now. Okay. So simply click on next. Now it will validate the credentials of hypervisor. So it is validated. Now it is asking for the storage management. Okay. So in production, you will get the shared storage like NAS, network area storage, or iSCSI storage, right? And you can connect the network storage to your virtual machine, right? But sorry, to your hypervisor. But here, in our case, we will go with the local storage, the physical SSD, which we have installed here. And now click on next. So here is a storage selection. What we have selected, our OS will be deployed on the local storage of hypervisor, which is Gen Server 01, and temporary file will be also there. Click on next. Now it is asking for the network name. So simple, it should be identical. Like someone will be able to identify the network resource name, right? So Citrix CTX hyphen N for network, and 01, it should be pointing to my hypervisor 01. Okay. So this kind of like simple naming convention you can give. Click on next. FB publishing, this is not for you guys at this level. Okay. And this service is it is almost to decom right now. Okay. We can create our own application with Citrix. Click on next. Here is summary. That is database, three database, our site name will be in the like three database, site monitoring database, and delivery controller. This is your delivery controller. License server on same machine. This is your hypervisor connection. Network is our network 0, and OS will be on the local storage, and temporary file also will be there on the local one. Click on finish. So within some time it will create our first site, and you will be able to find the studio console for first time. It will take a while. I'm going for a tea break for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. I'm on mute. Okay. Guys, are you sleeping?
No, Mesh, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mahesh.
Okay, so this is a studio console, right? Like as you might be working as Citrix administrator, right? So you might have seen this console anywhere. Have you ever worked on that? Hello?
Yes, Mahesh.
Maruti, I'm asking to you. Mm, I think he's on mute. Sushma, you there?
Yeah, yes, Mahesh. Able to hear you.
Sushma, so I think recently I already explained those things to you, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Now let me know what is machine control.
Collection of virtual machine.
Mm-hmm. What is delivery group?
Delivery group. Uh, Broker, like agent.
No. With the help of delivery group, we can publish or we can restrict any user to any specific application or the desktop or the virtual machine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
What is applications? It is a group of applications. If you have to publish any specific application to end users, you can do it, right?
yes.
With the help of policies, you can deploy a number of policies. It's quite similar to the group policies what we have. With the help of policies, you can simply like restrict end users to perform any unauthorized activity. Okay. Into the logging part, as I told you guys, like every logs will be there. Like in this case, this is my username ms185426. Whatever the operations I have done, the start time, end time with the result status. Okay, everything will be there. Simply, it will keep a record. Okay, for whatever engineers is whatever is doing. Okay. Into the configuration part, you will see the site configuration. Like we are having three database: site, logging, and monitoring. Into the administrators, you will get the list of Citrix administrators here. Like if I have to create, means if I have got a new member in my team, okay, and I have to give some administrative roles, right? So what I can do, I can click on create administrator. I can select the user from the AD Active Directory. Which user is there? Okay, I have not created any user so far. I recently deployed this new data center. Okay, so let me create one user here. Into the office user, I can create one user. Test user 01. Username will be test01. Password never expire. Entering some random password for this user. Next, finish. Now, if I have to make this test user Citrix administrator, so now I selected this user. Click on next. Now I can define the role for this user. Means if I want this user to manage my delivery group only, like this portion, I can allocate roles. Means user will be able to modify this portion only, okay, not the machine catalogs. If I select full administrator, in that case user will be able to modify the entire studio. If I create this user as a help desk administrator, so user will be able to view only, like user can view the machine catalog delivery group. User can like that particular Citrix admin can view the entire things, and that user will be able to manage the sessions, like end user sessions only. If I select the role for host administrator, in that case user will be able to manage the hosting part, that is hypervisor only. If I select the machine catalog, so in that case user will be able to do modification in the first option, like in machine catalog. And if I select the read only, so user cannot do anything. He will be able to view only. Okay, it is a kind of read only mode. So let's make this user read only administrator and select on enable administrator. And here now we have two administrator for to manage the Citrix operations. So this is the full administrator and the test 01 is the second one. So how role will be defined means, if you are having new graduate engineer training, right, or someone who is on knowledge transfer sessions, right, so for those kind of users you can allocate read only, then you can give access to machine catalog, then to delivery group. After that you can give some access to the hosting part, like to manage the hypervisor, and after 2 or 3 or 5 years you can make him the full administrator. Okay, so into the controller you will get list of the delivery controller. In production you will always find more than 2 delivery controller for sure, but in our learning infra we are having only one. Into the hosting part you will find your hypervisor details. In production you will find more than 2 hypervisors for sure for load balancing. Licensing, I already explained you. If you have to allocate new license, click on allocate license and enter the code. Storefront we have not configured so far. So basically storefront, it is a web page for end user. FB publishing, it is not for you guys. This is a kind of role for L3 persons. And into the zones, you will be able to identify like one data center in USA or Canada or Russia or India, right? This kind of GUI display you will get, or time zone, nothing else. Okay, so our site creation has been done now. Any doubt so far? Anyone?
No, Mahesh. It's fine.
Okay. So it's almost 1:30 now. And next we will create the master image. Then we will create the machine catalogs. Then we will create the delivery groups. Then storefront is there. And in the 9th one, we will test up the deployment. Okay. So let's take a break for at least 30 minutes. Okay. Then
Okay.
we will connect after the lunch. Okay. And if
Okay, fine.
someone having some issues like unable to connect or any other issue, please let me know in advance. Okay.
Okay, Manish.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.